on a good old natter with, I have with me the most excellent Kevman3d. How you doing, mate?
Oh, not too bad, thanks. Typical Sunday night.
Yes, night for you and morning for me. Just to start off with, what was your first introduction into computers?
Probably school, actually. Schools used to have Apple IIs. They were kind of quite common in schools here back in the late 70s, I guess. Except the computers were run by the maths teacher who said only the kids with the best maths, the best math scores or marks or whatever it was, were allowed to touch the computers, which wasn't me. So my parents ended up buying me a ZX81, about 81. And all of a sudden the school teachers were going, oh, you've got a computer at home? Hey, come and play with these Apple IIs. They're way better than that little thing you have at home. And then we just spent, I think, like all of our time just getting dodgy discs of games and hiding in the room and playing games. From kids on Saturday morning soccer, would kind of swap discs around, and I didn't do that. That would be illegal. So I just other people gave me discs. I didn't have discs.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, we all had backup copies, didn't we? That's what it was.
Oh, archiving.
Yeah,
storing them for the future.
that's it. Which is what we need now. Yeah. So where did you move on after the ZX81?
Oh, just basically straight to the Spectrum.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like ZX81, then the 16K RAM pack, and then all of a sudden the Spectrum came out, and I said, "Can I have one?" And my mum said, "If I earned half the money, they'd pay the other half." And she keeps reminding me that they paid more than half. Hint, hint. So brought that one in. Thanks, Mum. And I didn't really move on from that. I had friends who had they moved on to like Amstrads and Amigas and everything else, but just me and my Spectrum. So
wow, so you stuck with that. So
yeah.
was it how available was it in? Is it New Zealand that you're currently in?
Yeah. Around the same time, we had basically all the machines. We had the Spectrums, the Sinclairs, the Commodores, the Ataris. Basically, it was kind of not that much different than, I guess, what the UK had, except of course you guys had the industry and everything else. We just had our little country and all these imported things, and used to bring all the magazines and books in as well, but they're always 3 months behind. So by the time I got a magazine, it was like it was April, but it was the one from, I think, July or something in the UK. So it was July, but we got the ones from April, so I get that around the right way. So we're always out quite a bit because I think all the magazines came by ship. So, several weeks by ship. They arrive here, and, letters to the editor, you couldn't actually write anything back because it would be 3 months out of date anyway. But I used to live on those things for games and books for games, and I lived in a little country town, so there was like no computer stores up there. So my whole game library, I guess, was all just from type-ins or anything else. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I suppose back then that was our internet, wasn't it? In magazines.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing else really. Just magazines, books. There was no internet, nothing. All that sort of thing was just self-taught, I guess, out of books and copying people's stuff, and sort of learn by osmosis in a way. So.
Yeah. So what shops did you have over there that sold games for the Spectrum?
Well, in the little country town I was in, there was not really anything. Still like 5 shops and a street. It was pretty much like this little country town way up north. But when we used to get to Auckland, used to be the department stores. Used to always have like a computer section. There was the electronic stores that used to have like computer sections, and what other shops? There was a couple of specialist computer stores, but you didn't see as many of those around for a while. Let's see if I can remember where half these things are. God, it's going back a long time. It's 40 odd years.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the kind of the sorry, my brain takes a while to kick in. All of
Because
the
we had Boots and we had WH Smith and we had um, fuel garages. We had little corner shops that had the
yeah.
carousel of games. I don't know if that was similar to.
Yeah, we had was like Farmers, which is a big department store. Used to have a big electronics section, and there used to be all the whiteware stores that washing machines and everything else used to always. They all picked up on the computer stuff as well.
Hmm.
But then you had like Kmart, which we had here. There was a couple of computer stores. There's one in the North Shore of Auckland, in Takapuna, that used to license and distribute all the cassettes in New Zealand. So it's Alpine Computing, and used to get like for instance Manic Miner, and it would have distributed under license by Alpine, so they would do all the tape duplication and everything else. But we used to be able to pop up there because they had like an office, or like a shop, I guess. And they used to throw all the reject tapes into a big bin for $1 each. So we used to just buy heaps of these tapes. We'd either
Oh, right.
recycle them, or we'd take them home and go, "Does it work? Does it work? Does it work?" And then sometimes you'd recycle them and find the tape was actually buggered anyway. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was all right. It was $1. Who cared? So
That's it. And if it didn't work, you got yourself a blank tape to record something on it. So,
yeah, exactly.
so did you never venture into the console world or the arcade games? Did you play any arcade games? Were you a fan of those?
We did have a console before I got the computers. In the 70s, 76 or something, was one of those, the programmable game consoles, the 1392 or whatever it's called. I think you guys had Red Open and Hanimex and other stuff. We had Fountain, which was a brand here, and it was the. Just trying to think what the Prince Tronic, I think, was the other brand that I've heard of. But here we had Grandstand as well.
Grandstand, yeah.
Fountain were the main distributor for this console, and then I think it sounds cheesy, but the first arcade game I did see was Space Invaders,
Yeah.
and it was in a department store. And my parents were not happy that we were spending lots of money playing Space Invaders, so that's why they bought us the console, which would have been after '78 actually. And they said, "You kids promise not to waste any more money at the game on their stupid arcade games." And we said, "Yes, Mum."
Of course we did, yeah.
Nah.
It's not happening.
Sorry, man. My mum's not watching this. She'll give me a slap.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I know the truth now. I know the truth.
Oh, damn it.
You say that you stuck with the Spectrum.
Yep.
What have you continued from when it first came out, writing games from the original Spectrum, or was it the Spectrum Next when that came out? Did that reignite your passion for programming?
Yeah, it did actually. Because I kind of went from, originally I wanted to get into programming and everything else as a career. So I went to university for a couple of years and got into more of the social side of university and not enough the study side. So
The drinking bit.
yeah, it was, that's kind of in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't, but should have done something better. Sorry, Mum, again, if you're watching. But yeah, when the Next was announced on the Kickstarter back in 2017, I thought, oh, I can get back and finally I can be that game programmer that I always wanted as a career, which never happened. So I saw a lot of people, I think on Facebook, saying that they'd be keen on like learning how to program, because they hadn't programmed a computer when they've had one as a kid. They just played it with games, and it became their games machine. And I thought, oh, that should be fun. Maybe I should just start writing games and put up some tutorials and things like that. But originally I thought the Spectrum Next was going to be just I don't know, ZX Spectrum with an HDMI out, and I thought, yeah, it's cool. And start running classic Spectrum games again.
Yeah.
But as it kind of evolved, it had like sprites and colors and all the sound chips and stuff in it, and suddenly, ooh, this could be fun. And it's kind of become a machine in its own right. I mean, originally I thought I was just going to be running it in 48K mode, just to play nostalgic games, you know,
Gotcha.
just to go, yes, I can plug it in via HDMI instead of trying to get an adapter and AV conversion and everything else. So yeah.
Yeah, I get the impression that a huge number of people jumped on the Kickstarter one, thinking exactly that it was just a Spectrum and that they could start playing Spectrum games again. I didn't realise that it had got all these other internal enhancements. It wasn't just HDMI, so you got a better picture, and obviously you could still attach a tape deck to it and play your old games if you did have any that still work from your loft or. But
I have a big box under my house.
Yeah. But it's nice to see that the Spectrum Next Basic is enhanced for this machine, and it's nice to see some of the game. I mean, some of the games which we'll go over that you've done yourself, using the Spectrum Next Basic, they look like machine code games.
Well, originally I was going to program everything in machine code because when it was coming over, or when it was in being manufactured in the Kickstarter one, I started to refresh my machine code memory, I guess, from the 80s best as I could, and I started writing little bits of game and stuff like that. And I thought, oh yeah, be doing machine code, and this is my chance to start reading in machine code games. But when it came out, it was like, well, you know, Basic was okay in the 80s, but the speed of the machine was really lacking. So you had like all these jerky, flickery looking UDGs blinking off and everything. And this had hardware sprites, and it also had that 28 megahertz processor speed that you could knock out to. And I thought, well, maybe the challenge should be, can I write games directly in BASIC without having to go to machine code? So I thought, well, the challenge is to try and make all these games and make them work in BASIC, just to see if I could pull it off. It's like a little personal challenge. So, and I'm impressed the way that's evolved and everything else. The BASIC's just getting faster and, you know, more advanced. And you're getting features in there now that mirror more modern languages, like some of the Python type stuff with all those like plus equals shortcuts in it now in 208, and props and all kinds of other stuff. So,
so how did you start programming? But was it from the ZX81?
Yeah, ZX81 was. I mean, that's what you did back in the 80s anyway. It's like, you know, what do you do with a computer? That I don't know if my my webcam is mirrored or not.
But, no, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that one is. It's kind of where I learnt most of my basic programming was out of this book with my ZX81. Oops, let's bring that across.
Yeah. Okay, I've got you.
Yeah, it's getting a bit rusty, the staples and that, so bits of it are falling out. But that's the original book. I can't believe I've moved around for the last 40-something years and I haven't actually lost half of this stuff. Because, I mean, there's the... Ooh, get in front of the camera. That's the original one too, so... yeah, shift from house to house and you kind of wonder, how did I keep all that without losing a single thing? So,
yeah, so, yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where I started with the ZX81. And it just got, I mean, I think I liked programming because it was the, it was that kind of challenge. I guess it's problem solving. So it's just that challenge of, you want to see if you can pull it off by solving this problem. You know, how can I do it on a computer? Oh, I got it working. So you get that big dopamine hit, you know, so like that whole drug addiction from the 80s, which is why I kind of blame the 80s. It's like drugs for kids, brain drugs. So courtesy of computers.
Yeah. Not a bad thing. or we wouldn't be doing this. So from the ZX81 to the 48K, did you go over to the 1 to 8K machine at all?
No.
Right. Okay.
My parents wouldn't buy one, so
Yeah. So you stuck with the 48.
it was back in the days when you didn't buy computers because you had no money. Your mum and dad had the money, so
Well, yeah.
so,
You got what they could afford. Yeah, totally understand that.
And you're talking about salaries back in those days of like $2 an hour, $4 an hour. If you were making like 14K a year kind of thing, so they're pretty expensive. Like a big investment, I guess, back in those days. So,
yeah.
So yeah, but now I'm growing up. I can buy all the crap I want. So it's great.
Yeah, that's it now, isn't it? Disposable income.
Exactly.
All these Kickstarters come out. Oh, I'll buy another one of those.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like, how many more do I need?
And was it the? I take it was the rubber keyed 40. You didn't go over to the plus.
No. I just originally it was a 16K, and I upgraded
Yes,
it to
that's right. Yeah.
48K with a little upgrade kit.
Yeah.
And of course, when I did that, eventually the space key started to kind of like fail in it, which means I must have yanked the membrane or something. And I told my mum, "Oh, my keyboard's not working," so they bought me a DK-Tronics upgrade keyboard. I didn't tell her it was more because I was trying to play Manic Miner and the jump wouldn't work because the spacebar wasn't working. So yeah, sorry, Mum. Hope you're not watching this yet again. All my secrets are coming out now.
They are.
Yeah, no. I should just stop saying that because she will.
She's going to be ticking them off, isn't she? Like
that. Yeah. So that's what he did. I thought he was programming it. He's playing Manic Miner.
Yeah, the liars.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic, mate. So, going on to itch.io games.
Yep.
I see that you've used that platform to upload a lot of the games that you've worked on. What was the first game that you worked on to put on itch.io? What was the first one?
Well, I'd written 4 or 5 games before that, but I was sticking them on like Google Drive and things.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And everyone was kind of like saying, well, all these people using itch.io, and I thought, well, what's that? And when I found it was there, I thought, well, why not just put them up there? Much easier. So the first one was
Space Blast. Yeah.
My wife did say I should keep a list of all the names of things in case I forget what they are when someone asks me a question, and I'm thinking, yeah, maybe I should have now.
I've got that list if you want me to send it to you.
I know, I'm just opening another browser on my other screen, so it's like,
that's it. Yeah, bring up your games. That's it.
Yeah, but Spaceflat it doesn't work anymore. It does work on the very old version of ZX OS, which is I think 2.06. But there was a bug in it that was something to do with the integer variables, and it was a subtraction or a negative number or something like that worked the wrong way around. So I coded it, and I thought when I was trying to fix things, I thought that's really weird. Why is it not working? So I fiddled around, and suddenly it worked. I went, yay! But then it was like, oh, we fixed it. There was this problem in there, and then it's like I loaded again, and suddenly the problem that I had when I was doing the other way around was kind of back. So that needs a rewrite. I think I'm going to rewrite that one from. Basically, I'm going to refresh it from scratch. I think just to get a bit more grunt out of it, and maybe just make it look nicer too. So
it'd be good if you could. I mean, it's all time, isn't it? But it'd be nice for the games that you worked on. Work for the new firmware and OS. Yeah, that'd be really nice.
Yeah, I need to get through all those and have a look, see which ones aren't working. The other problem with the new version of ZX Next Basic was when it came to 208, suddenly it was running a lot faster, and someone did spot. I think Ramble was sort of like surging. It was getting really fast, and it was getting really slow, and it was getting really fast, and it was getting really slow. And it turns out just because the basic was running a lot faster, when there was nothing happening, the thing would rip through at really fast pace. And as soon as something happened, suddenly the whole thing was just this weird slowdown. So there's a guy called Matt Neal who's on Facebook who does a lot of stuff with copper.
Yeah.
He gave me a tip about just adding this line of code that would wait for a frame tick, and then would use it to kind of balance out the speed. So if it's going too fast, then you can get it to kind of like crank itself back, and that fixed it. So that was good. But yeah, some of those I'll have to relook because I think some of them are probably going to run way too fast, or a little bit glitchy because they'll be kind of like surging and stuff.
Mm.
So in a way, yeah, naughty people improving next basic. Bring
Yeah.
up my game.
I mean, I love the fact that your games they're all based on arcade games.
Oh yeah, it's the fun stuff.
Yeah, and I think I've said before that I love how your games they look like arcades as well. So you've got like your little track screen and
Yeah.
your high score table that flips up. Real big fan of that. I'm just going to go through some of your games now. So you got Star Blaster, Crater Crawler, Alien Annihilation, Galactus, Roadkill, Block Boy, and then Ramble. Internet Maybe Do It, and Space Splat. And then you've got like a junk pile as well. Are those the games that you first worked on?
Yeah, there's the crap that I'd done before the Kickstarter and everything else that I'd just done, I think, with the emulator at the time. So I could, I guess, upskill before the next actually turned up. And they were all over the place. So I thought, oh, I'll just dump them up into a section on itch.io rather than saying this one's on Google Drive, this one's somewhere else on the internet, this one's on another Google Drive. So I've just checked them all up there, and I think, yeah, I just put everything related to them up there too. If I've got notes and photographs and all that stuff, I'll just chuck the whole lot up there so people can just download and rip them apart and, I don't know, have a laugh, that sort of thing. Watch how broken they are. So
Yeah, I like how you had all the tutorials and with the games. I think that's fantastic for people to learn. It's probably the best way to learn as well. Load up a game and see all the code as it is and strip it apart and experiment.
Yeah, I mean that was part of the goal as well. Was as a kind of like almost like an educational let me get that word out of my mouth. What am I doing? Why's my screen scrolling weird? I've lost track of what I was talking about now. That didn't take too long. Yeah, it was kind of to add a bit of educational value to it. There were a lot of people who were saying they would have liked to learn how to program when they were a kid. You see the odd statement here or there, and I thought, well, why not? And I like the idea of just type-ins and kind of like giving back, I guess, in a way, to the things that kind of helped me grow back in the 80s. It's a bit sad and old person sounding. And originally I was going to write like a little book at the beginning. And I thought, yeah, I could write this like type-in book, like nostalgic flashback to the 80s books and type-ins and things like that. And I said to myself, nah, that's too much hard work. Then I made these games and I wrote all this stuff up, and then suddenly it's like 300-400 pages later. It's like, well, I've kind of written the book now. There's been a few people who've been quite thankful, actually. They've been quite nice in that I think one guy was downloading them and printing them out in like a book, and he was asking me if I had any updates before he printed them, and I said, no, that's all right. And he said, yeah, this is really helpful. So there's been a few since Kickstarter too, I think, is where we get a lot more people who seem to be interested in the code stuff, the programming, tutorial stuff.
Yeah,
which is quite an interesting thing. So
do you not fancy doing a book then? Because it sounds like you're halfway there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've written another 5 little games, also arcade-based ones. Because someone asked me, was I going to produce a small book, like an introductory book?
yeah,
And I said, well, I'd planned it at the beginning, but now everyone's asking me for one. Well, about 5 people, I should say. I thought, yeah, why not? Give it a bash. So I've got these 5 simple games done. I've got a Breakout clone, got a Berserk type clone. It's not quite Berserk, but it's close enough.
Big fan of Berserk.
Oh, yeah, me too. Berserk. I've got a shoot 'em up game, just like a Space Invader thing with bouncy bird alien things. And I've got a side scroller called Raider, which is kind of more inspired by an Apple II game called Star Blazer, where the whole idea is you've just got to bomb. Your goal is to bomb something like I think the first level in the Star Blazer game in the Apple II was bombing a radar base, and you can only drop bombs when you're at a certain height. When you're above that, you have guns, so you shoot down planes and stuff. But you couldn't crash into things while you're trying to bomb, so you had to be quite careful. You get things like power pylons and these really tall bits, and you got really hard because you'd have to kind of go over them and down and bomb and then fly up. So I've kind of whacked something like that out. That was the last one I put together. It took me like a weekend, so it was the fastest one. So,
Wow.
yeah. Oh, they're a lot of fun though. I mean, I enjoy writing these games more than I enjoy playing them, sadly. So I think it's like, I feel like an old grandma with her Sudoku books, old puzzle solving things. Sorry, Mum, again. So yeah, it's kind of like I just like, I guess, the problem solving part of it. It's just this weird addiction to, can I make this game and can I make it in BASIC? And then it's like, can I optimize it so it's really fast? So exciting, much more fun.
So are these games going to be typing for the book? Book only?
I know people will rip my head off if they say, well, I'm not going to type that in. So I'll have to have both. But I find you get more educational value out of it if you actually follow it or do it, than if you just have a look at it and then go, I'll just play the file that you can download. So like if you go to a conference and if you just sit there and listen and someone gives you a handout, you get more out of it if you sit there and you take notes, because it makes you listen and makes you kind of I guess pay more attention and take a lot more of that stuff in. And same with typing in, because I say to a few people who said, well, why would I want to do that? I said, well, it's like practice. I mean, you don't get a guitar, for instance, and just learn the scale and then suddenly you're writing songs. You're usually learning by typing in, or not typing in, playing and learning other people's songs to understand how everything works together. So programming is not that much different, in that you're writing games, you're typing in other games, and you're learning as you're typing them, and you're picking up like all these tips. Oh, that's how you make aliens move, and oh, that's how you do collision detection, and oh, that's how you read the keyboard. And as you bring up, you put all these things together, you start to bring up all these different ideas, how you can kind of pull that in and that in, and suddenly you're mashing them together and making your own games out of it. So it's a kind of a similar learning kind of concept, learning through where's my brain? Gaining the knowledge through learning other stuff. I don't know if that's a good explanation. I think it's just all burbled out of my mouth there. But you get the general idea. If you learn guitars, you learn a musical instrument by learning songs. Same with programming. Learn how to write games by programming games, I guess.
Yeah. So have you thought of writing a well, I suppose it hasn't got to be machine code, but have you thought about doing more of a commercial game with a cover and a box and some instructions? Have you thought about doing that?
Yeah, I was thinking I've got a few original game designs written up and put kind of planned out, I guess. And there are some games that I wanted to do in BASIC, but I realized that I'm not going to be able to pull off that at least some machine code in there. So I think I'm going to start bringing some more of that sort of stuff in if I can't pull it off in BASIC. Commercial wise, yeah, I'd like to do a proper full-on game.
Yeah.
With a lot more polish. I guess it's not so much proper full-on game, but it's a more polished game with a lot more speed, a lot more stuff happening. Get some music in there finally, because it's one thing that I'm always lacking.
Moon Patrol. No
Oh
music.
yeah. I had started that, but I did put this little funky like backing
Mm.
thing with Nextdoor, but it kept crashing, and I think it was because I was doing it on C-Spect. C-Spect does struggle with sound. That's the one thing that I have the
Oh, okay.
biggest problem with on C-Spect is it doesn't always play sound properly. So I have to keep taking across the next, trying it on there before I put it online, which you want to do anyway. When it goes on the next, it's always a lot harder because the next runs faster. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, damn, I'm sure it wasn't this hard. Cradle Crawler in particular, and um, Galactus, they were
Mm.
actually a lot easier in C-Spec than they were actually on the next. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's kind of funny that it's like, oh, this is too easy. I'll just make it harder. Get on the next. Oh, this is really, really hard now.
Mm.
So I should really tone some of those back at some point.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's regular updates for C-Spect.
Yeah.
I've noticed, and I mean, you've got Mike Daly doing it, who's an absolute genius. I think everybody's expecting
Yeah.
the next Lemmings to come out.
Yeah, well, he started it, a long time
Yeah.
ago. He had like a demo of a next version of Lemmings. He
Mm.
also did that Wolfenstein kind of demo as well, I think. But yeah, no, he's a bit of a, I guess he's a bit of a celebrity really because he's like, it's like the emulator for the next. So, and I use it for developing everything anyway, even with the sound problems. And then I just port it across because I like to do it on the PC here because it gives me access to all the tools I need, like my sprite tools. I use Remy Sharp stuff as web-based Spectrum graphic tools and for sound as well, for the AY stuff. And also if I need to research stuff, and I've got 3D software here and all kinds of other tools here. When I'm on the next, of course, you can't access all those. So it's either coming back, doing stuff, porting it back across, or I might as well just do it on the machine, use C-Spec to get the code running and then put it back across to the next. And then I can do any fine tuning on the next afterwards. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think C-Spect is the definitive tool, isn't it, for people who are writing programs and games? Seems that way anyway.
I did use Zessa UX.
Oh yes, yeah.
But that was a little bit chunky, and I think I wrote this. I attempted to write missile command type clone in BASIC when I was just learning some next basic stuff, and it was chuggy. It had issues, and it wasn't the same as C-Spec. C-Spec's more streamlined to be a next, I guess. Whereas
Yeah.
SIUX is kind of emulates everything, including the next, but probably not as specialized for the next as C-Spec is. So.
Yeah. So outside of programming on the next, what else? What other things are you into? Because I've seen quite a few 3D models and things that you've done on
Oh yeah,
on Facebook.
yeah. I've been doing 3D for well since the end of the 80s, early 90s. About 94, I started doing freelance work. So that was a good time because at the time, no one else, 3D was all new. So when I was doing freelance work in the 90s, you get word of mouth go around. You always got someone going, "Oh, you do 3D? Can you do something for me?" It's usually like some lame logo or spinny thing or whatever.
Yeah.
It became a really expensive hobby because you need a better PC and then a better PC and then another better PC as you go. And the software wasn't super cheap. You know, like 1,500 to $2,000 for a piece of software. Luckily, a lot of the updates for the software are usually free to a certain point, and then you have to do your upgrade and everything else.
Yeah.
But I teach that stuff full time at the moment for the last 22 years. I've been teaching. Before that, I was working at an animation studio for 5.5 years. So lots of TV commercials, great fun.
Oh
But
wow,
it's still a
that's
hobby.
fantastic.
It's still a bit of a passion. you
Mm.
know, and because I have to teach it, I might as well just, you know, still make my own projects as well.
Yeah, it's nice that you've um, got a career out of something that you enjoy, because
Yeah.
that's quite rare, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Not many people get that opportunity, so that's fantastic.
And the weird thing with that is you don't feel like it's a job. It's like you turn up and go, well, I'm just going to make some 3D stuff. What, I'm getting paid to do this as well? This is great.
Wow.
The
Mm.
problem is as you do it, though, it becomes more of a job than your hobby side of things. You get sick and tired of it by the time you come home. So it does have that uh, negative effect sometimes. Whereas it's really passionate thing. I'm still passionate about it, but when I get home, I don't sit on the computer for hours and hours like I used to, making spaceships and characters and whatever else, because it's like, oh, I had enough. Spent all day doing it. So yeah. So there's pros and cons to it. So
Yeah. Have you done any free work for any notable games, like commercial games for consoles or anything?
oh no, it's been more of a teaching slash hobby slash
Okay.
personal satisfaction thing, I guess.
Mm.
Uh, I've done bits and pieces for some little freelance jobs, but not usually games. It's usually like small TV commercials or things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So is that your main teaching? Because is that at university or college, or what's that at?
It's like a small, so well, it's a tertiary provider. So it's kind of like
Okay.
not a major university or a polytech. It's one of those like PTE training um, schools, and we're part of a larger one called Up Education here, and they own a whole bunch of different tertiary training and other kinds of schools and training. Sorry, my brain goes weirdly sideways sometimes. I'll burble. Um,
It's all good.
should try the enjoyment the students get out of this when I teach. Um, but they have, like, I think the schools of tourism, and there's a lot of um, catering and all kinds of different kinds of colleges. And they've got our school, which is more of a design college. We do bachelors of animation. We've got software engineering, all kinds of creative stuff. So yeah.
So future projects, is there anything? I mean, you mentioned about your book,
Yep.
and some games. Is there anything that you'd like to work on, or you've got something in the pipeline?
I got a guy at work that has been building a lot of games in Unreal. So he sits right next to me, so I get those words out of my mouth. Um, and he's always encouraging me to try and write games and start a games company and things like that. So that would be fun. I wouldn't mind doing that, actually. A bit more like proper training in gaming, maybe game development. If the Spectrum Next was a career, that would be nice. But unfortunately, with there's not quite the global market for it quite yet. Uh,
Not yet. I mean, there's obviously people out there who are creating games and selling them, but there's not a huge profit. But I think it's still nice to um, have you work out there. I mean, I don't know what retro events there are where you are, but in the UK it seems to be um, exploding at the moment. We've got events all over the place. We've got Revival, and we've got Crash and Zap, and we've got the computer museums. We've got one in Leicester called Retro Computer Museum. Um, there just seems to be events everywhere. You've got a massive Amiga scene. I don't know what that's like where
um,
you are.
we don't see as much of that here, eh? Most of the vintage computing stuff is usually more like niche. There's a
Mm.
lot of collectors in New Zealand, and there's a lot of retro gamers here too. But there's a lot of like Sega and NES type stuff. Not so much a lot of vintage computer gaming, I guess you could say. Um, and I hate people calling them consoles. My Spectrum console. No,
Oh,
not a
yeah,
console. Shut up.
that, yeah, that's it. It's got a keyboard. Yeah, yeah. I think that's a bugbear of quite a lot of computer users, isn't it? Console.
Yeah, everyone calls them consoles now. I go online, it's like, I got myself a Commodore 64 console. It's like, what?
No. Yeah.
Slap.
Yeah, you can feel somebody stabbing you, can't you, when somebody says that? It's like, oh
Yeah.
no. Have you seen the? I mean, it's been everywhere now. The new Spectrum that's coming out
The
by Retro
Spectrum.
Games. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure about that, because I mean, it's just basically an emulator in a way.
Yeah.
Because I've got the C64, but it's not the full one. It's the little
The MIDI.
console.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I mean, I had 12 Spectrums here at one point. I've managed to flog off about 5 at a retro. We do have a retro event. It's less of a retro computer event, more of a retro 80s, 90s, like a flea market, I guess, in a way. And people
I've
sell
gotcha.
like
Yeah.
old collectibles, a lot of toys, figurines, sort of Star Trek stuff. I had a stand there last one, because the tables are cheap. They're like $100 for a table, and I think I made $300 out of just flogging off old stuff. I had like lots of PlayStation controllers and things like that. But I also had all these Spectrums, and I thought, why do I have 12 of these? I think this is the definition of hoarder. I'd
Some
say
people will be
hoarder.
like, why not?
Well, the problem is, if I see another one and it's cheap, I'll probably buy it. That's the sad thing. But nowadays you can't buy anything cheap. I mean, there's people selling them online, and Trade Me, which is our local New Zealand, I guess, equivalent of
It's like eBay.
like eBay,
Yeah.
and people like Spectrum, highly collectible, very rare, $300. It's like, so what? I mean, I bought 4 Spectrums for $100, so but that was like a few years ago. But yeah, I just got so many of these. I just thought, well, yeah, I don't really need another one, even if it does plug in through the HDMI and it, you
Yeah.
can code on it or whatever it is. Am I really going to do that? I've got Next anyway, and if I'm desperate, I'll just get another one. So get like a Xperia Pi or something. So
Yeah, good little system that, the Xperia Pi. Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm thinking of getting a second one. Something like the Xperia Pi, or what's the other one? The Ingo.
And
They're
go,
quite
yeah.
nice as well.
Another good little system. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Spectrum really is for. I mean, they're obviously jumping on the bandwagon because they can see that there's a buzz around Spectrum, but I think it's going to be mainly for people who aren't in the scene.
Yeah, I mean,
To relive that nostalgia.
yeah, because I've got a bunch of minis for all kinds of stuff. I mean, I got all the NES minis and things like that. I never owned them as a kid, but I do own the originals as grown up now with my disposable income. Uh, but I don't think I need other Spectrum. But I did buy the 64 mini. I do have some 64s here, but I don't think any of them actually work, apart from one of them. But even then, it's the convenience, I think, of having that little portable SD card, HDMI out. You just plug and play, and I think that's what's more appealing for that sort of system than like with a Spectrum, you have to do an AV conversion or get like some kind of device to hook it into your TV set and SCART and AV and whatever else. Whereas those, you just plug them in. I mean, it's like this. Well, at the Next, just plug it straight into the TV and off it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been quite a lot of useful mods, if you like, that have come out for the original Spectrum. I mean, one of the Spectrums I've got is like a PAL to composite mod, and it was just a couple of wires. And
yeah, that's what I do with my one. So yeah, that's handy. I'll do that. Oh, it works.
And they're quite easy to repair now, aren't they? You can get them recapped, and you can buy new keyboards and new face plates and new membranes. So
That's the thing,
it is. It's probably cheaper just to refurbish a broken one than to buy a new one now.
Yeah, and I mean, there's remake ULAs and all
Yeah.
kinds of things. All the chips that are usually, the custom chips like the ULA. At least you can now buy those, like modern, like recreated versions were made with FPGA tech or whatever it was. I did fix one Spectrum. Amazingly, it actually worked after I fixed it, but it was just a faulty ULA in it. Now I've got the other one that I stole the ULA out of up in a picture frame up on my wall. So
Well, there you go. That's a good, like a box frame. So it's a good,
yeah,
useful one.
and it's kind of like, what do I do with these machines that don't work? Just keep them in a box with everything else, or put them on the wall, and then
That's
put all
it.
kind of information on the wall with where all its kind of like hardware and everything else. So people who come around who have no interest in that stuff can look at the picture, look at the thing on the wall, and still have no interest in it. So.
Right then, Kev. Just to finish off, just going to do a bit of a quick fire round. Yeah. No, nothing too taxing. Favorite arcade machine?
Joust, I'd say. Light Joust.
Oh, that's classic, yeah. I was never a massive fan of Joust, but definitely a classic game. What game would you like to make? Is it like a dream game?
Ooh, good question. Good question. I'd like to do. I think you remember I posted, I think, on Facebook that I had a game that I wanted to write that turned out. Then suddenly out came Rastan, and I went, oh, that's that sort of barbarian game I was planning to do. I wouldn't mind doing like a big scroller, like kind of like a scrolling fighting type game like Rastan Saga or something like that. Yeah, it's quite cool. I like Rastan Saga as well. That was a bit of a favorite.
Yeah, classic. That had the music as well, didn't it?
Oh yeah, the music was always pretty cool. It's very Conan the Barbarian.
That's it. Yeah. Absolute solid game though.
Yeah, and the Spectrum conversion wasn't too bad either.
I don't remember the spec on that much.
It wasn't. I was quite surprised how well they pulled it off. There's another one I like too, Mr. Heli.
Okay,
did a really good conversion of that on the Spectrum as well. Surprising, it's quite a complex looking game. All that scrolling and crystals and things flying everywhere. So.
Yeah, very good game, Mr. Heli. Yeah, big fan of that. Cat person or dog person, or both?
Cat person.
Cat.
Yeah, not fan of dogs. Well, I like dogs, but I don't like the idea if you walk them, then you have to pick up the crap. So
cats just look after themselves. And
yeah, that's right. Just leave them and off they go. I've got lots of cats around here, but they're all the neighbors' cats. And they will get special names like Porg and Mr. Tinkles. And,
yeah, I'm a cat person myself. Have you had any? Have you got a cat?
Oh, we had a cat. He's had a cat.
Oh, had a cat. Yeah.
But he was 17 years old, so he did.
Oh, that's a good age. Yeah.
For a while.
That is amazing age.
So, yeah.
Did he ever jump on your desk while you was programming something and lose all your work?
And bite my ankles as well. So,
oh, brilliant!
Claw your face,
Other hobbies, but I think we went over that, didn't we? Favorite in-game music.
Favorite in-game music. Ooh, actually, I do like the Moon Patrol one. The one I don't have in my game.
Yeah.
It's quite catchy. Also, Dig Dug isn't too bad either.
Yeah.
All those kind of little, call them plinky plonky tunes for sake of calling them something.
Yeah, but they work for the game, don't they? So perfect. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Anyway, Kev, that's a wrap, I think.
That's awesome.
Thank you very much for joining me and doing the podcast
That's
with
all
me.
right. That's a bit of fun. And yeah, I hope I didn't burble too much.
No, continue doing your fantastic games. I'm a big fan. I don't know if you saw that I did a live stream a few weeks back and showcased all your work.
Oh yeah, when you said you were going to look at some, and then you looked at everything. I thought, oh my god,
the lot, yeah, the lot. But I was using the KS2, the latest firmware on, so
yeah. I'm
I
surprised.
think most of it worked. Most of it worked.
Yeah, I was surprised when Roadkill didn't work because that bug that popped up, that
Yeah.
error, wasn't the original one that I fixed. But I noticed the names of the files on your machine were the new ones, so I'll have to test that on 208. I haven't actually looked at that.
Right. So I was just going to say, was I using the most up to date file?
But it kind of looked like it from the screenshot. Also, Crater Crawler, I think you were using the first one because I put a 1.1 out, and that gave you options for more firepower and everything else.
Okay.
Because you were going, this is hard, and I went, yeah, but you can put 4 bullets forward and 4 missiles up at the same time. Why aren't you switching it over?
Right. Okay. Oh, we'll go back to that one then if there's a new version. Excellent.
Yeah, no, I put that out after everyone complained. I think it was TJ was complaining that it was going too fast and it was too hard, and it's like, oh crap, okay. And other people were saying, oh, this is a bit hard, a bit unfair. So I went off and quickly went, oh, I can add more bullets to the front and more bullets going up.
Yeah.
Pretty easy. And then just added some extensions so aliens didn't appear on screen as quickly as they were, and kind of things like that. Just to, I do it on all the games now, just so I've got like, you can modify the gameplay. And you can also modify the gameplay if you want to sit there with the basic listing. And
yeah.
every time someone says, fantastic. Oh, we should do this, I say, well, you've got the listing right there. Go on, call it the other game, the game where you find the bugs inside the program. So.
Yeah. Now I'll go back to that one. Then that'll be another one for the live stream, I think.
Yeah.
So, I'll make a note of that one. Excellent. Okay then, mate. Well, as I say, thank you very much for doing this this interview podcast with me.
No, that's cool.
And enjoy the rest of your evening. Continue to make these games.
Will do. I'll put out the ones for the book at some point as well, because they're finished. I just have to document everything into a book format, which is I made the mistake when I started writing I'll write them as I go. I'll write the book and then I'll write the games while I write the book. Doesn't work that way. So now I've got 5 games. So I'll send them through to you anyway. You can have a muck around with them.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And what I'll do, I'll put the link to your itch.io site in the description as well, so everybody can find all your stuff and have a play.
Awesome.
Right then, mate. Cheers.
Cool. Yep, and we'll catch you next time.
Yep. Speak to you soon. See you later, mate.
Okay. See ya.